Men often notice things women never even think about when a real connection begins to grow. Not the obvious places, not the features women spend time worrying about. Instead, they quietly focus on 6 unexpected details that reveal something much deeper than simple attraction. And the surprising part is that many women go through life without recognizing these quiet signs because they have been taught to look for completely different signals. Real connection is not what most people imagine. It does not exist in the same place where attraction begins. It does not appear through the same quick glances or the same exciting moments. When a man starts feeling true closeness, the way his eyes move begins to change. His gaze becomes slower, softer, more present. He naturally looks toward places that help him understand whether what he feels is something lasting or only another passing emotion. Before we discover the very first place his eyes naturally go when that emotional bond starts forming, there is something important you need to understand because it changes the entire picture. Men do not look at women the same way once genuine connection begins. Everything shifts. Their eyes stop chasing excitement and begin searching for meaning. They stop scanning from one detail to another and begin paying close attention. They stop giving quick looks and start holding quiet moments a little longer. And what they are searching for during those moments has very little to do with physical beauty. They are looking for something much harder to explain, something that cannot be copied, something that cannot be acted out, something that naturally appears when a person is simply being themselves. Stay with this, because the next part explains why this happens more often than people realize. Most women believe they know exactly how to recognize a man's interest. They expect confidence, direct eye contact, obvious compliments, clear attention. But those signs usually describe attraction, not emotional connection. Real connection moves much more quietly. It hides inside moments that most people overlook. And when a man begins to feel that kind of closeness, even his body starts responding in ways he does not consciously notice. His breathing becomes steadier, his movements lose their sharpness and become calmer. His voice often becomes slightly lower and more relaxed without him trying to change it. Most importantly, his eyes begin following a completely different path from the one they follow when he is only physically attracted. Think for a moment about the last time someone truly noticed you. Not just your appearance, not just the way you looked, but something deeper inside you, something honest. Something that felt less like admiration and more like quiet understanding. That feeling stays with people because it reaches beyond appearances. That is often what a man hopes to find when a deeper bond begins forming. He is no longer simply looking at your face. He is trying to understand the person behind every expression. He wants to notice the version of you that appears when you stop trying to impress anyone. He becomes curious about your natural reactions, your peaceful moments, and the small expressions that appear without effort. Keep watching, because what comes next surprises almost everyone. Here is something many women never hear. For many men, emotional connection rarely starts with long conversations. It does not always begin because of shared hobbies, perfect timing, or instant chemistry. Those things can help, but they are not usually the real beginning. Instead, connection often starts during small, almost invisible moments that most people completely miss. A brief pause after laughter, a gentle expression that appears for only a second, the calm way someone listens without rushing to speak, a quiet smile that reaches the eyes instead of simply the lips. These simple moments create a feeling that cannot easily be explained, yet it leaves a lasting impression. This is why some people stay in your thoughts long after the conversation ends, even if nothing dramatic happened between you. Something deeper was quietly building beneath the surface. His attention is no longer searching for perfection, it is searching for authenticity. He begins noticing how comfortable you are when no one is expecting anything from you. He pays attention to how your emotions naturally appear instead of how carefully they are presented. That is often where genuine closeness begins to grow. And once that process starts, the 6 unexpected places his eyes naturally return to tell a story that words rarely can. The first one may completely change the way you understand connection from this moment forward, so make sure you do not miss what comes next. It all starts with quiet observation. It grows in the silent moments before words carry any real meaning. It begins in the tiny details his eyes notice without him even trying. A man who feels a real connection beginning often finds himself looking at things that seem completely ordinary, random, small, easy for everyone else to ignore, yet to him those little details become unforgettable. They quietly convince him that something different is happening, something that feels rare. Before I reveal the very first place many men naturally look when emotional closeness starts growing, there is something important you should know. This is not about romance alone. It is not about flirting or saying perfect lines. It is not about creating carefully planned moments. Real connection grows in the spaces between all of that. It appears during unplanned seconds, during quiet pauses, during the moments when you stop trying to impress anyone and simply exist as yourself. Those are the moments many men notice with surprising clarity. They quietly collect them without realizing it. They remember them long after the conversation ends. Later, when they are alone, those tiny memories return again and again, making them wonder why one person continues to stay on their mind. Keep watching, because what happens next explains why these simple moments often become impossible to forget. What makes this even more fascinating is that the process feels completely natural. A man who senses a genuine connection does not consciously decide to look at these small details. His attention is simply pulled there, again and again, without effort, without planning. Every time his eyes return, the feeling grows a little stronger. Every small discovery adds another layer to the emotional bond forming inside him. It is almost as if his mind is quietly building a picture of who you truly are, and that picture has very little to do with appearance. Instead, it is built from your natural expressions, your quiet habits, and the tiny things that reveal your personality without words. But something even deeper is happening beneath the surface. Most women never realize this part. When his eyes keep returning to these details, he is not only observing them, he is experiencing emotions through them. Calm, comfort, warmth, familiarity. A quiet feeling of belonging that is difficult to explain. Those brief glances become emotional reference points. They silently tell him that this person feels safe, that this person understands something important without needing to say it, that being near her somehow feels easier than being anywhere else. Stay with me, because the next insight changes how many people understand emotional attraction. Have you ever noticed someone looking at you as if they were trying to remember every little detail, not judging you, not examining you, simply paying close attention with quiet curiosity, almost like they wanted to hold that moment in their memory forever? That is often what happens when a deeper connection begins. His eyes become gentler, his attention becomes patient, there is no rush, no need to quickly look away. He is simply present, noticing the little things that make you different from everyone else. The truth is, many women misunderstand what creates intimacy for men. They believe it comes from looking perfect, acting confident, saying impressive things, or always appearing interesting. Those qualities may create admiration, but admiration is not the same as emotional closeness. Real intimacy begins when he sees your genuine self and feels drawn closer instead of stepping back. It grows when your natural moments become more meaningful than your polished ones. It grows when the quiet parts of your personality stay in his thoughts long after the meeting ends. And now we reach the beginning of that quiet journey. The very first place his eyes often settle when emotional connection starts growing surprises many people because it seems so ordinary that it is almost invisible. Yet to him, it quietly reveals whether you feel relaxed, emotionally present, and open to the moment. His eyes are no longer moving without purpose. They begin following a different pattern from simple attraction. They naturally move toward honesty, vulnerability, and authenticity. And one of the first places they often rest is your hands. not because of their appearance, not because of jewelry, style, or perfect nails, but because hands often reveal emotions that even the most expressive face can quietly hide. Hands quietly reveal emotions that words often hide. They show nervousness, comfort, excitement, uncertainty, and calm long before someone says a single sentence. When a man begins feeling a genuine emotional connection, he naturally pays attention to the way you use your hands while you speak. Do they move freely as you explain something? Or do they stay tucked away as if protecting your feelings? Do they slowly reach toward him without you realizing it? Or do they pull back whenever the conversation becomes personal? Do they gently play with a cup, a phone, or a ring? Or do they rest peacefully when you feel completely at ease? These tiny movements create a silent language that many men understand on an emotional level before they even think about it. Your hands quietly tell him whether you feel relaxed, whether you trust the moment, and whether being with him feels natural or uncomfortable. He notices these signals much faster than most people expect. What makes this even more interesting is that he does not only look once. His attention keeps returning there throughout the conversation. Every so often his eyes drift down again, almost without him realizing it, checking for the little changes that reveal how you are feeling. He notices when your fingers relax, when your grip becomes softer, when your hands stop fidgeting and begin moving with more confidence. Those small changes quietly reassure him that the connection may be growing on both sides. Stay with me, because the next detail reveals something even more surprising. The way you interact with everyday objects also tells a quiet story. How you hold your coffee cup, the gentle way you move your phone, the moment you brush your hair away from your face without thinking, the relaxed way you reach for something across the table. Men who feel a deeper connection often notice these ordinary actions because they reveal your natural rhythm. They show how comfortable you are in the moment. A woman who is truly present moves differently from someone who feels the need to constantly perform. Her gestures become effortless instead of carefully planned. Her hands naturally express what she feels without trying to send a message. They settle comfortably when she feels safe. They become animated when she is excited. They slow down when she is listening closely. To a man who feels emotionally drawn toward her, these simple movements begin revealing parts of her personality that words alone cannot explain. Then something changes inside him. His breathing becomes calmer, his shoulders relax without him noticing, his entire posture softens as if his body has quietly decided that this moment matters. That is often the point where he stops focusing on making an impression and starts wanting to truly understand the person sitting in front of him. His attention becomes quieter, more patient, more sincere. But before his eyes move anywhere else, there is one important question he silently tries to answer. Keep watching, because this next part explains why emotional connection often grows without either person saying a word. Before his attention moves deeper, he quietly checks something that most people never notice. He wants to know whether this moment feels emotionally safe for both of you. Not safe in a physical sense, but safe enough for honesty. Safe enough for two people to slowly lower their guard. He looks for small signs that you are comfortable being understood instead of simply admired. He searches for quiet openness rather than perfect confidence. At first, your hands help answer those questions. Then his eyes naturally move upward, carefully, almost respectfully, as though approaching something delicate. The next place they settle reveals even more about your inner world. Many people assume the second place is simply direct eye contact, but it is more subtle than that. He often notices your eyes when you are not looking at him at all, while you are reading a menu, listening to someone else, watching something across the room, lost in your own thoughts for just a second. Those are the moments when your expressions become completely natural. They are no longer shaped by self-awareness. They simply appear. He notices the softness that arrives when you feel peaceful, the quiet sparkle that appears when something genuinely makes you happy, even brief moments of reflection or emotion that cross your face without warning. He is not searching for perfection or beauty alone. He is searching for honesty. Those unguarded expressions quietly tell him more than long conversations ever could. And every genuine expression he notices makes the possibility of something real feel a little stronger. As the conversation continues, he also notices whether your eyes slowly become warmer, more relaxed, and more welcoming. Those tiny changes tell him whether emotional closeness is growing between both of you or only inside his own heart. And when he finally realizes his feelings are becoming more than simple interest, everything changes again. His attention begins moving toward another place entirely, not to understand your emotions anymore, but to understand your world, the people, places, and little details that have helped shape the person you have become. That next step reveals even more than most people ever expect, so do not miss what comes next. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how a man who truly cares begins paying attention in a completely different way? He remembers a small story you mentioned only once. He notices your mood changing before you explain it. He quietly senses when something feels different, even if everyone else misses it. That kind of attention does not usually come from simple attraction. It grows from a sincere desire to understand your inner world. And that quiet curiosity almost always appears in his eyes before it appears anywhere else. It shows in what he chooses to notice, the questions he asks, and the little details he keeps remembering long after the conversation ends. Now we arrive at the third place, and it surprises many women because it seems unrelated to romance or emotional closeness. Yet, for a man who feels a genuine bond beginning, this area becomes surprisingly meaningful. It gives him small clues about your daily life, your routines, your priorities, and the way you move through the world when no one is trying to impress anyone. The third place his attention naturally returns to is whatever you interact with most comfortably. Maybe it is your phone when you glance at it, your bag when you reach inside, your keys while you absent-mindedly hold them, a notebook you keep close, a favorite book resting beside you. These objects are not important by themselves. What interests him is the way you naturally handle them. Stay with me, because this quiet habit reveals far more than most people ever expect. He notices whether you take care of your belongings with patience or whether you move through life with a more relaxed approach. He quietly observes whether everything has its place or whether your world feels comfortably unpredictable. None of these things are about judging you. They are simply helping him understand who you are outside this conversation. A man who feels emotional closeness growing wants to know the everyday version of you, the person who exists when no one is watching. That is why he begins noticing details most people would completely overlook. The worn edge of a favorite notebook, a sticker that has stayed on your phone for years, a tiny scratch on your bag that you never bothered to repair. Those little imperfections do not push him away. Very often they do the opposite. They remind him that he is seeing someone real instead of someone carefully trying to appear perfect. Authenticity quietly creates trust. It makes emotional closeness grow much faster than polished appearances ever could. There is another reason these details matter. As he notices the ordinary parts of your life, he slowly begins imagining what it would feel like to share that life. He pictures himself seeing those same objects every day, learning the routines behind them, becoming familiar with the little habits that make you uniquely you. Without realizing it, his mind starts building a bridge between your everyday world and his own. Keep watching, because the next shift is where feelings quietly become much deeper. He also begins paying attention to the way you move through different moments. The way you gather your things before leaving, the way you adjust your chair, the calm or hurried pace you naturally carry with you. These quiet patterns reveal your personal rhythm, and many men notice them more than they realize. Somewhere beneath the surface, he begins asking himself whether your rhythm could fit beside his own, whether life together would feel comfortable instead of forced, whether your pace would bring peace into his world. While all of this is happening, another quiet change begins inside him. His posture softens, he leans forward without thinking, his focus becomes stronger. His presence shifts from simple observation to genuine emotional investment. Before his eyes move to the next place, something important happens inside him first. He silently gives himself permission to care a little more, to imagine a little more, to allow the connection to become something real instead of keeping it safely distant. Then his attention naturally moves again. This time, the place surprises almost everyone. He notices your mouth not while you are talking or smiling, but during the quiet moments in between. He watches the natural expression that appears when you are listening, reflecting, or simply enjoying peaceful silence. Those moments quietly reveal whether you feel calm, whether you are comfortable without constant conversation, and whether silence feels peaceful instead of uncomfortable. Many men searching for real closeness value that more than people realize. They hope to find someone who does not need every second filled with words, someone whose quiet presence feels comforting rather than tiring. If your face stays relaxed, your jaw soft, and your expression peaceful during those pauses, it creates a feeling of emotional safety that is difficult to describe. In those silent moments, his thoughts often move beyond first impressions. He begins imagining simple mornings together, peaceful evenings, shared silence that feels warm instead of empty, and a connection where being together is enough even when nothing needs to be said. And that quiet realization prepares him for the next place his attention naturally goes, where emotional connection begins, revealing an even deeper story.